Hello, my name is Dr. Bob DeMaria, the Drugless Doctor, and today, with our Get to Know, we're going to talk about spring foods from A to M. You know, patients, I just so love the springtime. Guess what they bring to us in our office? Their spring vegetables. And one of my favorite spring vegetables, and I know this is going to sound really amazing to you, happens to be asparagus. And if you want to get healthy and stay healthy, guess what one of your favorite vegetables should be? Yes, that's right, asparagus. Can I share some interesting information for you? 1 cup of asparagus only has 40 calories. Can you imagine that? A cup of asparagus having 40 calories. Think about some of the snack foods that you're eating and how many calories are inside of them. So let's talk about the asparagus. How do you cook it? What's the best way to prepare asparagus? First, look at the asparagus itself, the vegetable. Some of them could be long and thin, and some of them could be long and have a lot of thickness and starchy texture to them. Regardless of the size of your asparagus, you always want to cut the ends off, the lower end, because that also has like a lot of woody pulp to it, and it's not going to taste well to you. So how do you prepare asparagus? Well, one way you can steam it. That's one of the simplest ways you can do it depending on the weather outside, because another option is going to be to grill your asparagus. So you cut the ends off, and you can get a steamer. You can place the asparagus on the steamer for about 2 or 3 minutes at the maximum until they're soft. You don't want them to be really limp, maybe a little bit of a fork tenderness. The asparagus itself, you could also eat with some salsa. A lot of times what I like to do with our asparagus is to cut it up and saute it, either some butter or some olive oil, and add an egg to it. It's just really a great vegetable. A couple other thoughts about asparagus that you may not know. There's a chemical in asparagus called glutathione. Glutathione is an amino acid that helps support liver function. So you could consider the asparagus itself as being anti-aging. Hello, that's really exciting. And it also could be considered anti-cancer, anti-tumor. So if you eat asparagus, let's say you eat it once a week, once every 2 weeks, but it's a part of your rotation of healthy foods, it's just a good thing to add to your diet. Asparagus itself also is a green food, and I'm not saying it to be silly, but people don't eat a lot of green foods today. So as a green food, it's going to have folate. What's folate, Dr. Bob? Folate happens to be one of the vitamins that's very important and very significant to help prevent birth dysfunction or birth problems. And I think that recently people have been more aware of asparagus being for the whole concept of anti-tumor. I prefer fresh asparagus versus canned or frozen. The springtime is the time of the year that asparagus is very plentiful. I know that it's also very good for bladder challenges. Oftentimes, after you're done eating the asparagus, your urine might have a different fragrance to it. That's okay. That's just a part of the chemical compounds that make the asparagus up. It's really a wonderful spring food to add to your diet. The next spring food that I use every day of my life happens to be beets. Now, beets are available from the fall to early springtime. Let me tell you about beets. Beets are probably one of the most underrated universal food, and I know that beet is a root, and here's going to be the claim to fame for beets for you. Ready? By eating a 1/3 cup of beets on a regular basis, up to 15 grams, which is not a lot, you can lower your cholesterol 40%. Do you hear what I just said? You can lower your cholesterol 40% just by adding this one food to your diet. You know there are many medications out there today that have some significant bad effects that can't even lower your cholesterol naturally without side effects like beets can. So let me talk to you, how do you prepare your beets? What do you look for? Well, first, oftentimes you'll see beet greens obviously associated with the beet root itself. And the beet greens are really good for you. They're a great source of calcium. They're a great source of vitamin K. They're a great source of the folate that I recently just spoke to you about. I generally will cut the greens off, and then we have the root itself. Now, how do I prepare it? I usually will get a peeler and peel the top part off only. I'll cut the beet in half, and I'll place it in a baking dish. So I usually do about 10 beets per week that I'll bake in a glass baking dish. I'll sprinkle it with balsamic vinegar, Celtic sea salt, and olive oil. Add a little bit of water to the bottom of the baking dish. Cover it, bake for 400 degrees for about an hour or so until it's fork tender. Beets promote bile flow. Bile is produced in your liver. I want you to think of bile as an emulsifier or as a soap. So when you eat beets, you're helping your liver function optimally. And that is really important today because I know that so many of you have a cholesterol issue, and just by adding beets to your diet. Now, beets do have a side effect, and that side effect happens to be a red stool. That means when you have a bowel movement, your stool will be red itself. It also has a anti-stiffness factor, the Woolsian factor. Beets also have a chemical in it called betaine, and betaine will help lower your homocysteine. My next favorite spring food happens to be chives. Chives are perennial plants, and wherever you're at in the world right now watching me, you can grow chives in your own backyard in a little pot. It's a perennial. That means it grows year after year. And I personally live in a climate that's cold and snowy during the wintertime. But I want you to know I just brushed off the dead or older chive leaves from last year, and I have fresh chives in my backyard. Chives have something in them called allium. Allium is the same chemical that's found in garlic that would be considered the antifungal, the antibacterial chemical. It's very healthy for you. Chives, being a part of the onion family, also has sulfur in it. Sulfur is great for skin integrity, making or helping joint pain go away. You can add chives to your salads. You can add chives to your egg salad. Chives are just a great add-on. It's like doing a seasoning without having a chemical to it. Now, in the springtime, and this is what I love the most when our patients bring to us, is fresh lettuce. Now, there are so many different varieties of lettuce. I personally enjoy romaine lettuce. One of the aspects of lettuce that's significant is it's green. And because it's green, it has magnesium. I know some of you ladies right now crave chocolate. Oftentimes when you crave chocolate, it's a sign that you need magnesium. Lettuce also has omega-3 fats in it. Omega-3 fats are good for your brain. Lettuce also has calcium in it. So by eating lettuce on a regular basis, you are going to be adding chlorophyll, which has magnesium, but something else that it has. It's folate. Folate is one of the compounds, one of the vitamins that's needed by individuals who are thinking about having a child to help prevent birth defects. So folate itself helps your nervous system function optimally. So what I do with our lettuce is we will add beets to it. We'll put chives in our lettuce or in our salads. That I have a salad every day. And the reason I have a salad every day is I want to add fresh, living food. Now I want to go back to the beets for a minute. You can have raw, grated, organic beets that you can add to your salad. I personally prefer baked beets. The fiber in the beets is going to help lower your cholesterol, like I said, but it's also going to help improve digestion. And I think if you understand in your mind during these spring foods, if you focus on eating raw foods and or slightly steamed foods to mix it up a bit, what's going to happen to your body is you're going to have better bowel movements, which you want, which is going to help improve transit time, which is the length of time that your body uses the material and expresses it from your body. Anytime that you heat food, it goes from the dull green to the vibrant green, releasing the chlorophyll inside of the nutrients, which is much better for you. So you want to vary. You want to eat raw, you want to eat steamed, you want to eat cooked. This is Dr. Bob DeMaria, the Drugless Doctor, with Get to Know Your Spring Vegetables from A to M.